as you can tell, I have had a very busy day. It's been a very busy but then productive day. So I'm happy about that everything I planned, pretty much went the way I wanted it to go. And I'm just leaving the warehouse now, driving home and kind of reflecting, and I felt like I also didn't make a video in this car for a very long time. I did set up things to enable me make a video while driving, just like this, but then for a long time wasn't using it. And today I said to myself, why not just bring out this video and reflect on the things that have happened or the things that's currently happening. It could be on my YouTube channel, it could be on my PC reselling business. It could just be any general thing. So drive along, kind of talk to somebody out there, share your thoughts, reflect on what you are currently doing. And I felt, okay, you know what, camera on. I still have like 15 minutes to drive, so it's just long enough to, kind of speak to somebody out there or kind of talk to myself as well. Guys, I am happy, the way the things are pretty much going right now. Sales are on top gear. I just checked. I made a sale before leaving the warehouse. A PC Lenovo ThinkCentre 710S, I think, sold. I didn't really check exactly for how much it sold, but definitely I'm going to be putting you in the note tomorrow. All right. So one thing I did do today was that I experimented with going live on YouTube, and it's kind of funny because this kind of showed me a new direction in which I can take this channel. I keep saying each time I go to the warehouse, everything I touch is pretty much content, because there are so many things to do. Sometimes there are problems to solve, sometimes there are decisions to make, there are research to make, try to take a look at what is selling. There's just 1,001 things to do every day I get to the warehouse. Because of that, bringing out my camera, trying to make a video every time, sometimes proves to be very difficult. Although, to be honest, I have kind of put that on lockdown. I developed a system that enables me record videos at the slightest need for me to make a video. If I get an idea now, I can go ahead and deliver that video, but then I still feel like I'm leaving a lot of content on the table. So today what I did do was to experiment with going live on the channel, and I went live twice. Guys, for a very long time I do not receive engagements on my videos. One of the live I did pretty much performed very good for me. If my video gets 300 views, that's already a good performance, because typically my videos, for one funny reason or the other, I do not know what the algorithm is thinking, but for one reason or the other, my videos tends to get just like 5 views, 10 views, 9 views, 15 views, 16 views. These are the kind of views. I know that this is not about me. It's not about the content I make, because I see people making content in the same niche and the videos tend to perform very well. But in my own situation, for one reason or the other, the videos are not just performing well. I understand that sometimes the algorithm needs to go through a lot of block before it finally recognizes your channel. And I really do feel like this is the season for my channel to be recognized. I'm making very good content, trying to put a lot of value out there, showing you guys what can happen if you decide to commit to flipping PCs on eBay. And I feel like this is the time is right for the algorithm to try to say, to kind of say, we have seen your work. We really do think that you are now qualified, or your videos have not been approved to meet the desired audience. I'm just kidding here. But then I experimented with live, and guys, one of the videos got about 300 or something views, which is kind of strange for my channel at this point. I feel like this could just go a long way to unlocking things, and not only the views, I did get to connect with some people. There was a guy that asked, kind of reached out directly that he want to kind of contact me or want to get to know me. That was in his own words. And he did ask if I had an Instagram account or something like that. I said yes, and I wanted him to write me, send me a DM, which he did. Funny enough, he went ahead, sent me a DM on Instagram. Although I replied, I said, look, I'm driving home now. I will be able to actually reply you, when I get home. Hopefully, I should be able to do that today. See, it's interesting, or it's kind of encouraging to see that, me doing a live stream kind of, put people on my way that I can actually relate to one-on-one. I can actually get to hear them, even listen to what plans they have, because I want to imagine that this is somebody that's remotely interested in flipping pieces. I hope I will be able to help him. So the direction I am taking this channel to, after this unlock that this live gave me today was, look, I need to be giving a lot of value to people. I need to be, asking directly, what are your problems? A young man did write me and said, on the live stream also, it was a comment. He said, yes, a lot of the people that buy PCs, they want you to be their tech support. They buy your PC, and as if that's not enough, when anything goes wrong with the PC, they want to reach out to you, they want to call you, they want to write you, and you need to be ready to be a tech support for the buyers. And he was like, it wasn't worth it. And of course, I don't let comments like that slide, because I've already dealt with situations like that. When I was starting out, the major problem was that I was buying the wrong type of PCs. I was buying like broken PCs, untested PCs, and because of that, when you bring them home and sell them to somebody else, there is every possibility that that PC is going to have a problem. And sometimes the problem could be very, very nasty. You send out a PC, even though you've tested it to be sure that yes, and here and there are some basic functionalities like PC is powering on, you're able to install Windows. There might be some problem later on. Either the fan is making some funny noises, or the DVD is not right, it's not reading the CDs, or the PC is tripping off when it gets hot. So many things could go wrong. And at the time, I was also, buying questionable RAM sticks, questionable hard drives, and all that stuff, and everything was just a mess. And because of that, I kept having people complaining about my PC, reaching out to me because of some problems. Sometimes I may have a PC that the VGA wasn't working, but because I tested the PC out with a DisplayPort cable, I didn't know, buyer received the PC, it doesn't have a DisplayPort cable, you want to use a VGA and the VGA is not working. All these kind of things just kind of mess things up. I was constantly replying people, trying to troubleshoot their problems. Guys, it got to a point I said to myself, this is a lot of work. But then there was a hack to that problem, and the hack was that I decided at some point, sometimes about 2 years ago, that look, I want to be known for the best, that seller that sells the best possible pieces. I want to be known for that one shop where people come to, they can actually get pieces as good as new. And because of that, I even had to stop selling some kind of pieces. A long time ago, I used to sell everything. The old PCs, the Core 2 Duos, the Intel, Pentium, all those like the Asian pieces, because my idea of reselling at the time was that as long as I could get the items for cheap, somebody was going to come and buy the item for me. And it wasn't a bad idea, but the problem is that if you keep getting shitty cheap items, you are just going to increase the number of problems you're going to be having, the number of complaints, number of items not working, the number of items too slow, items not able to download these drivers, the PC doesn't have the required BIOS to upgrade. It was just an endless list of what could go wrong. So but then when I told myself, look, I'm not going to go below a certain standard, it was painful to see a lot of the transactions go away. Most at the end of the day, a lot of the pieces needed to be thrown away because I couldn't sell them. I was tired of having these headaches. But then when I set my standard right, I said, look, I want to be able to sell pieces to organizations, to multinationals, to people that have money. Because the best kind of clients you can have, or the best kind of customers you can have, are the ones that have money. They are going to buy your stuff. And because they have money, that presupposes that they are kind of educated. When people have decent jobs, they are schooled, they know how to do some basic troubleshooting or even find help when they need it. And I realized that when I set my standard right, I was attracting the best kind of clients, people that would buy my PC. A few days ago, somebody bought me a laptop from me for about 400 and something euros. this person only asked a simple question. He said, if I buy this PC, what operating system is it going to be shipped with? And I answered, and the next reply came and said, I am buying. And a few minutes later, I heard that my notification, the eBay notification, gave me a signal that my item had sold, and it was this laptop that sold. Because people that are smart and that they have the means to buy stuff, they do not ask a lot of questions. They understand that if things go wrong, they'll be able to figure it out. And if they cannot figure it out, they know how to go back to eBay and initiate a return. This is simple. But then the other group of items, I realized that when I was also selling those shitty items, people that were buying from me were pretty much, resellers, people that want to break up the PC to sell it for parts, people that wanted to do something else, which I didn't know with the PC. And there was just so many crises. But when I started selling the kind of PCs I sell now, if you go to my shop, you can pretty much see them. They are smart PCs, pretty much new PCs, recent generation. You're going to be having problems with drivers here, drivers there, not being able to find BIOS online. Everything is pretty much plug and play. And ever since, guys, my problems solved. I can't remember when last I had to, be with a customer back and front, trying to solve their problems, either because the monitor is not displaying, it's not receiving signals from the PC or stuff like that. Everything has been pretty much very, very easy. And this is what I'm trying to say. Look, yes, that young man has said it's not worth it. Yes, it's not worth it if you decide to be a jack of all trades. In one of the live videos I also made today, I still made it clear that, look, you need focus in this business. Yes, there's a lot of money to be made. Doesn't mean that you have to play all kind of games. There are certain monitors I don't sell because I know that if I sell them, it's going to bring problems. Either the monitor is going to be returned to me. If you go ahead to sell monitors that don't have these pivot functions, what I mean by pivot function, you can rotate the monitor up to 360 degrees, like flip it over like this. There are some monitors that do not have that function. They are just one way looking at you. You only have to use it in that direction. Or there are monitors that you cannot increase the height of the display. You cannot bring them up or bring them down. These things, guys, I'm telling you, if you decide to sell them, it's just going to be a problem. People are going to reach out to you and start to ask you, how do I increase the height of this monitor screen, or how do I do stuff like this, like flip it, or So ever since I started selling a set kind of items, and when it comes to laptops now, there are also some laptops I do not sell. Doesn't matter how cheap it is. I understand when people buy laptops, they want a laptop that's going to be fast. They want laptops that's going to be a little bit smart. Nobody wants to buy a laptop that's going to be sluggish, because this is not. People could even forgive you by, when they buy from you, a desktop PC, they could even forgive you when it's a little bit slow because they know they can actually go ahead and upgrade things. But a laptop, it's kind of difficult to upgrade, for example, the processor of a laptop. And because of that, when it's slow and the SSD cannot save it or the RAM cannot save it, then people are not satisfied. But then, like I said, this is what it is. I'm just experimenting a lot of stuff. This live video brought a lot of engagement to me, and this engagement kind of opened my eyes to see that, look, engagement is important. I need to be able to reach out to my subscribers. There must be a forum or an avenue for me to be able to interact with them. So I'm going to take a look at my analytics again, see when my subscribers are kind of online, so that I can actually schedule my live videos in this time and strive to get questions from my subscribers, because the more questions I have, the more I can actually solve your problem, the more I can actually deliver a lot of value. Hopefully this direction is going to help me also, because time is of the essence. Very difficult to find time to really make the kind of videos I want to make, and when I finally make the videos, I need to also have time to edit them. And if you are not careful, guys, you might end up working around the clock, and this is not what I actually want. Of course, there's a time to grind, but sometimes, especially after so many years, things needs to be able to be toned down a little bit. So because of that, the live function on YouTube has proven to be a very potent way for me to keep making content and not having to spend a lot of time. You know, that reminds me, a lot of editors did reach out to me, you know, proposing to want to work with me, help me, you know, with editing and stuff like that. But the problem is, when I look at the process, that means I will need to make a video, send it over, editor need to, you know, edit it, send it back to me. I need to take a look to be sure that it's okay, and then send it back for correction. I just feel like it's just good enough for me to, you know, go live, make the errors while delivering my whatever I'm trying to deliver to you guys, make the errors, make the grammatical errors, you know, repeat, stutter, all that stuff, but then leave the video raw and post it exactly the way it is. I understand that there's going to be somebody out there that's going to resonate with the way I speak. It's going to resonate with these mistakes. I'm going to see me exactly the way I am, and this is exactly the direction I'm going to go through, knowing that because I do not have a lot of time to do all this, I still want to do something. This would be something I'm going to explore. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to be making video on the channel. As a matter of fact, if you are not subscribed, I want to encourage you, go and be subscribed, because I'm going to be making some really hot, nice, you know, interesting videos. No pun intended, but then I'm going to be making sure that I push the limits to make sure you see what can happen if you decide to flip pieces for profit. I am flipping pieces until I'm able to buy a house. You know, I'm going to keep doing this to motivate myself. Of course, there's going to come the time where I'll be counting the dollars or the euros 1 cent on the other. But right now, I'm just, you know, doing this thing, putting the money back into the business, making sure that the cash is flowing, because that's the most thing that you need. If the business is not turning out cash, or if the cash is not seen to be flowing, something must be wrong. You know, right now, whatever says I'm just withdrawing whatever I've spent in buying the computer, take it back to the market, buy a new product, just leaving the profit to stack, you know, paying for anything I need, things that will make my processes better, you know, lighting, microphone. You know, very soon I'm going to be changing this camera, because this camera doesn't seem to be able to deliver in low light. But these are the many things on my head, and hopefully one after the other, given that I am committed to this journey, the journey of, you know, making money, not just money, a lot of money flipping used pieces on the internet, until I'm able to buy a house, and until I'm able to get the kind of freedom which I, you know, imagine, to be able to, you know, make money while doing less work. Now, that's the ultimate goal of, you know, anybody that is hustling, while also being able to render very good service to people out there. Come think of it, when you sell on eBay, you are rendering a very major service to people. People want to get good computers, they can get it from your shop. People want to get good monitors, they can get it from your shop, or even laptops. This is a very major service. I hope this video helps you guys. I'm close to home now, and I need to just say goodbye at this point. I want to wish you guys a very beautiful evening until I see you again tomorrow in the warehouse. Peace.